Do you remember the World Series last year? We get into these habits where we only remember the winners and forget the losers. I have a feeling that the 8.2% of you, that's way an exaggeration, but I liked the sound of that number, from New York, know very well that the Yankees lost to the Dodgers. Are you still having nightmares? I need to talk to my friend, Mr. Turturro, and see whether there are still nightmares from that fifth inning. Aaron Judge misses a catch. Then Garrett Cole doesn't cover first base. Rizzo doesn't cover first base. And all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, you got a 5-run inning, tie game, they lose, whatever the case. If you remember that, you remember that. I've never come to spring training as a playoff loser. Only went to spring training as a champion. And every other time I went to spring training, it was as, oh, this is our year. We're going to make a push for the playoffs. When you go, because I've had the conversations with those who have, you've won the pennant but lost the World Series. The question comes, what do you need to do better in order to take that next step? Which, of course, is a silly line of questioning from anyone in the media, from any fan out there. When you win the pennant but lose the World Series, you're doing just fine. It's not that your team isn't going to change, because of course it's going to change. Like the Yankees don't have Juan Soto, but they did replace him with Devin Williams. Don't forget about Paul Goldschmidt, Max Fried, not too shabby. Aaron Boone is forced to meet the media first day. Of course, he's going to get asked about last year, last season, the World Series. How do you feel about your team going forward, your ability to finally get over the hump that the Yankees have not gotten over since 2009? All the questions that Aaron Boone is prepared for. Here's what I was not prepared for Aaron Boone to talk about. And when Aaron Boone was being prepped for this media avail, I'm a little surprised that he was able to handle this question in the way he did, because I'm not sure they would have been able to practice this. He was asked about the Dodgers and the Dodgers' behavior after winning the World Series and the way they impugned the Yankees. Let's go ahead and listen to what Aaron Boone had to say.
A little bit. I mean, don't like hearing that. You hope, but the reality is, we didn't play our best in the series, and they won. So, they have that right to say whatever. Hopefully we're in that position next year and handle things with a little more class. But that the reality is, it's a great team, it's a great organization with a lot of great people that I happen to know and respect too. So a few people sounding off isn't necessarily how I would want to draw it up, but they're the champs. They have that right.
Do we have some early chalkboard material? Some bulletin board material? He's talking about Chris Taylor and Joe Kelly, who went on podcasts after the championship, after the Dodgers won, and said a bunch of stuff. That's all. They were just talking a little smack. They were talking about the fact that the Yankees and how they're just not good enough and they played terribly and all stuff that you all know if you're a Yankee fan. Not the end of the world. Barely worth mentioning. Because what we're prepping Aaron Boone to talk about is, how do you move on from Juan Soto? How is your team better? What is your view? What's the feeling in the clubhouse when you've spoken to players who are still here, knowing that they got Juan and they went to the pennant and the World Series and now he's gone? Are you happy he's gone? I totally understand why Boone wants to get it out there that the Dodgers are fine. I was disappointed. We'll win. We'll be nicer. Has he looked in his clubhouse? I can name about 2 players, maybe more, just 2 off the top of my head, that if the Yankees had beaten the Dodgers, you can bet your sweet Bippy they wouldn't have been full of class and quiet. They would have been out there doing stuff. That's for sure.